So I go into this room and I'm looking around and there's like government officials, like Korean police officers and things like that. And I'm like, all right, that's weird. And they were like, yeah, something illegal flagged in your bag. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. Like I'm here on military orders. Like I know I'm good.
Yeah,
You
right.
know what I'm saying?
Let's handle it. Like,
Well, they pull out a THC pen.
what?
Yeah. I literally had no idea how it got there. Right.
Yo.
And so I couldn't even tell you what I was thinking in that moment.
What's good, y'all? I'm Drivens, a co-host of Different Show Podcast, and I'm here with...
Anthony, CEO of Glass House Grooming Company.
How you doing, bro?
Man, I'm great. Blessed to be here.
For
Thanks
sure,
for having me.
Always, bro, for sure. You like family, for real. You're in
Yes,
the Family
sir.
Event Center on the west side, all that. You feel
Yes,
me?
sir. Yes, sir.
Got a few questions for you today. Tell me more about you. Who are you?
Yeah. So I like to call myself an artist.
For sure.
You know, heavy in the community. A barber, of course. That's what most people know me as.
Yeah.
I'm a father.
Yeah.
Spent some time in the military. That's actually where the root of my story begins.
All right, tell me more.
Yeah. So I joined the military in 2014. I started cutting hair about February of 2015, which is like right after I graduated basic training.
Right.
You go after that, you go to what's called a tech school. It's pretty much like college to learn your job, what you're going to be doing for the next amount of your contract in the military.
Right.
I was water and fuels attached to the civil engineering squadron. So, you know, I did everything from fuel systems, water mains, natural gas lines, fire suppression, you know, things like that.
Sure.
I love that job. It was an awesome job.
Right.
And then I remember getting my first check. And I looked at my check and I was like, this is not what I signed up for. Like, I think that thing was like $1,200 for 2 weeks or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So if you break that down weekly, like, what am I gonna do with that?
Yeah,
You know what I'm
for
saying?
real.
So
Not sustainable, huh?
first thing on my mind was, man, I got to make some more money. I
sure.
went to college at Ball State for architectural engineering
sure. Wow.
before I went into the military. So, you know, my student loans were very expensive. So, you know, I had some debt on me a little bit, you know. So first thing on my mind is, let's make some more money. But how can I make more money?
Of course.
Right? So the military doesn't allow you legally to work a second job because you're technically a government employee. You're government contracted.
Wow. Yeah,
So you kind of have to, you know, make some money on the side however you can.
Right.
Obviously, legally.
Yeah.
Under
Yeah,
the realm of legal,
Yeah,
right?
got you, yeah.
So I'm looking around, man, and I just see a cash cow, really. Everyone needs a haircut on base. Everyone, you know. It's not a secret that each base, the barbers there are not that good, you know. So I decided to pick up some clippers. And doing that, I had a group of guys, a group of friends that allowed me to cut their hair in practice and things like that. So that's kind of where my journey began, man. 2015, I picked up the clippers, and you know, at first it started off as doing it for some extra money,
Right.
but then
It
turned into almost like therapy for me.
Right. Yeah.
Cutting hair.
I can imagine.
I'm kind of a perfectionist mixed with an artist, you know, so
Gotta be.
I get really in deep with the haircuts and things like that. I just try to be as creative as I can. So fast forwarding a little bit, 2019, I got orders to Korea.
Korea.
Yep.
Which one?
I was at Gunsan Air Force Base in South Korea.
Oh.
And I took my talents out there, right? And this is actually a crazy story. This is
I
like
didn't
this is like the turn of when I knew
you
that
wanted to do this.
I wanted to do
Yeah,
this.
right. I can imagine.
Right.
Wow.
So I get to Korea very first day. I land on the airport, and it was called like customs and something, but they flagged my bags. Right. I'm looking for my bags to come across the belt, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, I don't see my bags. Um,
I
this
can
guy
imagine
comes
you're
out
not
of
happy.
was
I
that?
can imagine you're not happy because you're not finding your bag.
I mean, it wasn't even not really happy because like I was just confused, really.
Yeah.
Right. And so this guy comes around the corner. He was like, Mr. York. I'm like, yeah. He was like, I need you to come with me. I'm like, all right, cool. So I go into this room and I'm looking around and there's like government officials, like Korean police officers and things like that. And I'm like, all right, that's weird. And they were like, yeah, something illegal flagged in your bag. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. Like I'm here on military orders. Like I know I'm good.
Yeah,
You
right.
know what I'm saying?
Let's handle it. Like,
Well, they pull out a THC pin.
what?
Yeah. I literally had no idea how it got there. Right.
Yo.
And so I couldn't even tell you what I was thinking in that moment. Right.
Wow. Yeah.
So I'm going through that whole process. Right. I'm scared out of my mind. Like I'm in Korea. Like my phone isn't turned on for international service yet.
Yeah,
So
right.
I couldn't really call people. So I hurry up and connect to Wi-Fi. And my dad was the only person in our family at the time that had an iPhone. So I got through to my parents and I'm telling them what's going on. I'm scared, right? Next thing you know, military police from my base come to pick me up and I got locked up.
Wow.
Yeah, man. And so what happened was I had broken my foot right before I left for Korea. And I couldn't pack up my home by myself, you know,
Right.
to send all my stuff to Korea. So I called a friend over. This friend wasn't in the military, but they had a medical condition that allowed them to
Use that.
use THC products, right?
Wow. And then
And so they came over to help me move, like in some jeans, right? And we're hustling and bustling, and I'm like, dude, like, you want some shorts? You want to borrow some shorts, bro? And he's like, yes, actually, you know. So I give him a pair of my shorts. Long story short, he puts the pin in the shorts. The next morning, I'm flying out, so I pack up the last bit of clothes that I had, put them in my suitcase, and the pin is in there.
Right.
So whole time I'm on my flight, he's texting me like, bro, oh my God, I think I left a pin in your pants, right? And keep note of that, right? And so I'm sitting there locked up, and I get to my base finally like the next morning. I had like a 12-hour hold in military jail. I get to my first base, man, and they are first things first. You already know what they do: drug test, right?
Yeah.
Within hours, right? So I take the drug test, I pass it,
For sure.
right? I wasn't using it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't mine. Fast forwarding a little bit more, so I ended up having to get a lawyer, and it took me a year to fight that case.
Wow.
Right. I submitted screenshots of the text messages of my friend looking for the pin. Obviously I passed the drug test, right? They had like taken my fingerprints and submitted them to the FBI and stuff. They built a case on me saying that I was smuggling drugs into a foreign country. Like, it was serious, bro. And you know, if you get in trouble like that in the military, that's a federal case off rip.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm going up against a federal case right now, right? And so my new leadership is telling me like, all right, you've submitted all the proof that you didn't do this. Like, you had no idea, right? And so they're telling me like, this situation wouldn't affect me. You know what I'm saying? Like, pretty much like, all right, you proved your innocence.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, cool. So for that year, I'm working, busting my butt. You know, I was that go-to guy. My supervisor put me up for Airman of the Year, Airman of the Quarter, Airman of the Month.
Dang.
You know what I'm saying? And
Balling, huh?
yeah, and I was getting my name out there, man. So new leadership ended up coming in, and they took over my case or the situation or whatever, and I actually ended up still getting in trouble for that situation.
I couldn't imagine.
And
Wow.
yeah, man, it really discouraged me that someone can prove their innocence even in the military and still get the short end of the stick.
Wow. Yeah. Right.
So because I got an LOR, it's letter of reprimand,
Okay.
it's paperwork.
Yeah.
I couldn't promote. All my airmen of the quarter, airmen of the months got
Wow. So you couldn't
denied.
even get. Dang.
Yeah, man, like it was so discouraging, bro, because like I had no idea that that thing was with me.
For sure, and like that can only be discouraging.
Yeah.
You're busting your ass and stuff like that, and then you still you
Yep.
have that LOR and you can't even get
Exactly.
acknowledged for the hard work you're doing.
Exactly.
I couldn't imagine.
No acknowledgement,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So I ended up making the decision to terminate my orders to my next base, which is Mildenhall Air Force Base in the UK. And I was just like, you know what, like if this is how you guys are gonna treat people,
Sure.
I don't want to be a part of it anymore. And I decided to get out of the military. 1 month later, I started barber college, and I got custody of my son at the same time.
Nice.
So I went from living on my own and things like that, traveling over the world, to a single dad. Actually, my parents allowed my son and I to live with them. We shared a room, we shared a bed. I'll tell my son every day, like, all right, this is the plan. I'm gonna go to barber college. I need to get my license so I can start my business legally. I'm gonna start a barbershop, and I'm gonna grow, and we're gonna go from there. And that's
Wow.
exactly what I did,
Whoa.
man.
Yeah, that's
went
crazy.
to Kenny's Barber Academy, graduated top of my class.
Yeah.
I got into my first barbershop where, I was able to gain some experience and things like that. I stayed there for about a year and a half, jumped off the porch, and decided to start my own brand, start my own shop.
Absolutely.
Simultaneously, that's actually where I met Chris.
So yeah.
I met you.
Wow.
I met Derek. And
That's
so
great, man.
that's where the story gets good,
For
man.
sure,
It's been
yeah.
just straight grinding.
Okay. That's great. That's amazing. Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yep.
You cut my hair every other week.
Yeah,
So
facts.
I didn't know that. So
Yeah.
building off the military stuff,
Mm-hmm.
so the time you had, how did serving shape your mentality towards your work? How did that work?
Yeah. There were some good things about the military. First and foremost, it instilled in me a certain level of discipline.
Mm-hmm. Always.
I kind of already had that though,
For sure.
because my dad was actually in the Air Force. He was in the military as well.
Wow.
And my mom, she's just, we like to call her a helicopter mom, but she's so loving. It's just that she's there for everything. You know what I'm saying? So my parents had already instilled in me, hard work and things like that. But I was able to actually take the skills and, take those key points in life from the military and transfer them over once I got out, as an entrepreneur and in my business. And it helped me, just stay on course. It helped me with, that seriousness about myself, that if I'm gonna set a goal for myself, I have no other option but to, overachieve, actually, even for myself.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah. And even for yourself, you have a son too.
Yeah, man.
You got to push yourself for that. I can
Man,
imagine.
that's a great point.
For sure, yeah.
Because he has been able to see, that form of discipline, within myself.
Yeah,
for
for sure.
sure.
That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yep.
So getting more into how it's therapeutic, what makes barbering more than just cutting hair?
Oh, yeah. That's a great question, actually. So I look at it like this. Everyone who comes through the barbershop, is able to get a piece of knowledge from me, right?
Yeah.
I realize that barbers are really the key to the community,
For real.
right? We come across so many people, right? We're able to network. We know a lot of people. right? But my thing is, I've accrued so much knowledge over the years that the same thing that I'm doing for my son, giving him knowledge and you know, kind of guiding him through life, no matter their age, I can still do the same thing for my clients. And my clients will tell you, like, when they come into the shop, they're going to leave feeling good and they're going to leave getting some knowledge.
For sure.
You know, I give the shirt off my back to the neighborhood, you know.
Always. Because, you know, without the neighborhood, you're not the barber you are.
Right.
You know, so.
Right. They're a key piece to
Yeah.
who I am
Yeah.
and what my brand is and becoming.
For sure.
You know, so I just like to be that guy, man, that, you know, my people can come to, and it's personable and it's a safe space. You know, I'm an advocate for men's mental health.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm actually going to be developing a platform here in the near future for men and mental health. Also, I'm an advocate for single fathers, actually. It hasn't been easy. You know, most people don't know that, you know, I don't have, you know, financial assistance from my son's mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not talking down on her.
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
that's not
Always.
what it is.
It's
but
just what it is, though.
It is just what it
Yeah.
is. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, him and I literally went from sharing a room in my parents' house to me buying a house on my own.
Yeah, right.
In
That's
3
powerful.
years.
Yeah, that's powerful.
You know what I'm saying? To
Yeah.
building a six-figure business.
Yeah.
Six-figure business in 3 years. You know what I'm saying? So that in itself, I can kind of compile that into a formulated script almost, and give bits and pieces to my clients, man, and kind of help them along the way as well.
For sure.
You know?
Before we get into any other questions, you know, there's a little side tangent. You know, I know you got a product coming out you're working on. Can you tell me more about that? Just something quick, you know, something quick for the people.
Man.
You know? My fault.
My products have been in the works for almost a year now, man. It's just when you're doing things like that, you know, you want to find the right manufacturers, you want to find clean ingredients.
Yeah.
You know, we're solving problems. We're figuring out solutions to problems, right? So I don't want to give clients a product that is going to make their problems worse.
Yeah.
Acne, you know, dry skin, eczema, or things like that. But yeah, we finally broke ground on shea butter,
Right.
that
Nice.
can actually help clear, you know, severe eczema, dry skin, and things like that.
Wow.
Off of organic and clean products. So, you know, we were able to get all the samples and things, and we decided that it's probably best to just give as many as we can out for free first to show the validity and our trust in this product.
Right.
And it feels good because it's our first product, right? First of many.
For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, we got the shea butters rolling finally.
Fire.
The Glass House shea butters, man. So, you know, when you come into the shop, expect to leave with a sample of shea butter.
For sure. Yeah. Come
For
by.
sure.
Come shop.
Uh-huh.
So, talking more about how you're a mentor, you know, how do you handle being both a service provider and a mentor?
Yeah, they go hand in hand. Like I was saying earlier, being personable can get you a long way, right? I make sure that my clients know that it's not just transactional. It's a safe space.
Absolutely.
Right? Whether they're going through something personal or they just need a little bit guidance on whatever they're doing in life, their next steps, I'm gonna have an answer for them. I really think it's important to not only compile my network list, but to give my people access to my network list. Right. So I put people on, man. I connect people in the community. Really anything you need. I want to be that guy, not just a barber.
Right.
You're not just coming to get a haircut.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can count on me to give you the resources that you need in order to succeed.
Absolutely.
You know, I care about everybody, man. I'm really big on having a multicultural portfolio.
Absolutely.
You know, it's kind of this stigma of like when you go into a barbershop, you know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of know, like, all right, like, we only know how to cut this particular culture's hair. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's cool and all. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not knocking that.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Everybody got their own thing.
Exactly. Everyone has their own thing. But for me, man, I want everyone to come to my shop. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't matter anything else under the realm of a person. I have an open door. And I think that's another thing that the military helped me with, because the military is so diverse.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That it allowed me to be able to connect and talk with anyone. And I've lived in different countries. I've cut hair and had barbershops literally in different countries. You know what I'm saying? So being able to interact with the locals and things like that, it's just, you know, developing those skills to be able to do what I'm doing.
Right. Wow. So what's one thing you wish younger men, like, around understood about consistency? You know, because as a barber, you got to be consistent no matter what. You know, it's you setting your schedule, it's you doing all that stuff, and especially in the position you're in with being a single parent, you know, and just stuff like that. Tell us, what do you wish young men knew about being consistent and stuff like that?
Yeah, man. Consistency is crucial.
For sure.
With anything that you're doing. It's important to, number one, develop a plan. But in order to develop a plan, you have to have goals, right? But also at the same time, I also think it's important to let people know that sometimes it's a slow cook, right? Nothing's going to happen overnight at all.
For sure.
And I'm saying that to say that I was that guy, right? I'm such a perfectionist. I'm such a go-getter that I put an immense amount of stress on myself when I want to accomplish something.
Absolutely.
Right? And in my mind, it's like, it's going to be done tomorrow. But man, you don't understand, dude. Like, that's bit me in my butt so many times, right? But that's actually one of the things that, you know, Chris helped me understand.
That was my next question.
When we first met, he gave me some books to read, right? He made sure that I was passionate about what I was doing. I had a plan and I had a vision of where I wanted this to go.
For sure.
Right? And one of the first things he ever told me was, it's a slow cook. Right? And just saying that to me took so much stress off of me, because I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I finally met someone that sees that I'm passionate about something and genuinely wants to help me build, genuinely wants to give me knowledge, genuinely wants to mentor me, right? That it's now been 3-4 years since we've been connected, and you can literally see the growth from the time that I met him. I was working for someone in a barbershop till now being such a visionary and a CEO and a entrepreneur.
And you have your own shop in our family's event center.
Exactly. In the event center, you know, and that's unorthodox.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
But it works so well because it creates a personable environment for everyone. Like, you don't have to come and wait, and it's a bunch of people and waiting on barbers and things like that. You just have an appointment.
Go get on the app.
Come in and it's me and the client.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So full circling back around though, man, that consistency it'll take you a long way. It's just a slow cook. Just make sure you have a plan. You know, write your goals down. Make sure you visually see your goals.
For sure.
It's really important.
So, you know, we don't got a lot more time, but I will conclude with this question. Our family, you know, me, Miss Courtney, my brother Derek, you know, Brittany, you know, everybody. What kind of role have we played for you in your process? You know, I know you just cut my hair, but, you know, I've edited a video for you a few times, Chris, you know, and you're my mom's event center. You're her coworker, you know, so, like, how does things like that work? You know, and how does that feel to be that close with a family that can accomplish so much for you, but at the same time, you're accomplishing a lot for us? Like, how does that feel, you know? Yeah,
so most people don't know. We actually are very connected. Yeah. It does feel like family.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people just see that I'm a barber.
Yeah.
Right? They see me as a lone wolf. I'm just cutting hair on my own. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But really what they don't see behind closed doors is that I actually have a full team. I have a system. Chris Evans, he's actually my chief operations officer. For most people don't know what that is. That's
COO.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
He said that to me the first. I'm like, what? Like, what is a COO?
Chief Operations Officer. So pretty much what that is he helps my ideas come to life.
Right.
Yeah. It's no secret he plays in the NFL, right? But instead of him gatekeeping all of his resources, like some people do, you know, he actually allows me to tap into those resources to help my business grow and help me grow as an entrepreneur. And Brittany, she is CEO of Black Cherry Visuals.
Yeah,
she's actually my chief marketing officer. And of course, everything's centered around marketing. She allows me to tap into those resources, anything that I need, any ideas that I have. She points me in the right direction. We have a couple assistants that, you know, they do the in-between things for us, because, you know, cutting hair for me is physical.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have 12-hour days, just because the demand is there.
For sure.
Myself and my business is in high demand right now. You know, Lord willing, you know.
Right, absolutely.
So it's difficult for me to actually be a CEO physically sometimes, without a system in place.
Right.
So behind closed doors, man, like it's a revolving door. Everything is becoming automated and building itself. And then of course, Evans Event Center, managed by your mom, Miss Courtney. She's awesome.
Yeah, she's cool.
We kind of, you know, collab our businesses together. You know, we share clients, and it just makes the event center really attractive.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's really popular right now. And we're growing collectively as a team. You know, and then there's Drew.
The show.
Most people don't know Drew. Drew has been, you know, helping me with, you know, social media, editing videos on the side. You know, I was never big in social media
for sure.
Before my business, so I've been learning in that area.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man, we're just growing in all aspects of being a CEO, being an entrepreneur, growing a brand, and yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man, to see where we've come from. You know, cutting hair in a dorm room, barracks, in the military to a full-on CEO. And I'm proud of that, man. And we're just having fun. God is good. Life is good, you know? And yeah.
So, Anthony, where could the people find you to book a haircut or get more from you?
Yes, sir. That's the $1 million question. Ooh. All right, yeah. So you guys can follow me at Instagram at chopped_by_York. The Cut app, same thing, Chopped by York. I have all my links there. Yeah, please go like, follow, subscribe, and just keep an eye out and keep following us. You know, we're growing, and we have some big things on the way for sure.
For sure. Thank you, Anthony, for sure.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Always.